What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my NBA DFS contenders on DraftKings for Tuesday, April 6th. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. Follow me on Twitter, at Josh Engleman, so you can get updates to these sim results as we get closer to lock. And finally, let me know in the comments section who is your favorite and least favorite of my contenders for today's slate. We're rounding out the bottom of my top 10 with Kelly Oubre, Kyle Kuzma, Zach LaVine, Malcolm Brogdon, if he plays, and Sadiq Bey on the outside looking in. Who will be my favorites? My top 5 plays for today? It's time to find out. Alrighty, coming in at number 5, he's small forward, power forward eligible, and that would be Doug McDermott. Doug McDermott. I was going to say Doug McBuckets, but I said McDermott's. Neither one of those two things would have been a real name. So, Doug McDermott is my number 5 contender. I am assuming that Domantas Sabonis does not play. Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Lamb both went through practice yesterday. Sabonis did not. So I'm leaving Sabonis out, at which point I think McDermott sees more minutes. He gets the dual eligibility at 4,100, projected for 22.5. The goal's 36. He's in the optimal lineup 18% of the time. Now, I'm giving him 28 minutes. I think he could see a little bit more. He doesn't really see much of a change in rate, so the minutes are huge here. 0.8 fantasy points per minute. 14, 3.5, 1.5, maybe a stock. Pace neutral spot against Chicago, but the Bulls defense isn't good. They are changing out an okay defensive center for a very much not okay defensive center in Nikola Vucevic. So I love this spot for McDermott. I love that the value is here. But again, this is all predicated on the fact that I'm not expecting Domantas Sabonis to play. If he plays, McDermott is out of here. Now at number 4, we're staying in the same game and same eligibility. Small forward, power forward eligible, Patrick Williams. $300 more expensive than Doug McDermott, but he's projected for 24. The goal's 37. He's in the optimal lineup 18% of the time. He's a slightly worse fantasy point per minute guy, 0.74, but I expect more minutes. 4 of them, in fact. 32 minutes, 16% usage, 11.5 and 5.5. You get an assist and a half, maybe a stock and a half. It's a lot of and a halves for Patrick Williams, but it is a pace up spot against Indiana. They gained 2 possessions over their average, so that's basically, somewhere in the neighborhood of 0.8, 0.9 fantasy points for Patrick Williams. I love the dual eligibility. I just love this game in general for DFS, especially if Sabonis does end up out. So I like getting to Patrick Williams. You can see Zach LaVine already a part of this list. We've seen Malcolm Brogdon. We've seen Doug McDermott. And I have a sneaky suspicion we are going to see another pacer before we're done. Now at number 3, I didn't really expect this one, but point guard, shooting guard eligible Marcus Smart. He's 5,600, projected for 29.5. The goal's 41.5, and he is in the optimal lineup 19% of the time. Now I think Smart's playing 34 minutes, somewhere just shy of 0.9 fantasy points per minute. He's a below average usage guy, so it's 18%. That gives us 13 points. 5 assists, 3.5 boards, a steal and a half block, and a pace-up spot against Philly. This is the type of game that Marcus Smart, I assume, comes to play. I'm sure he wants to get out there and really smack Philly around. That's just the way that this dude works. His stats are so weird that he does a little bit of everything, so you can have him get there in many different ways. You're hoping that he gets there with some additional steals and blocks, but really, to be able to get a 30-plus minute game guy at a 0.9 fantasy point rate with point guard and shooting guard eligibility, I like that situation. The extra possession and a half in this spot feels pretty good. It makes me a little nervous because I think the floor is also pretty low for Marcus Smart, but I don't think that he's going to be getting any ownership today. So to me, he's a perfect contrarian option in GPPs. Now at the number 2 spot, we're going to point guard, shooting guard eligible Fred VanVLEET. If he plays, he's 7,900, projected for just shy of 44 fantasy points. The goal is about 50, and he is in the optimal lineup 24% of the time. Now, 36 minutes for VanVLEET if he's coming back. I thought he was going to play yesterday. We ended up seeing him be ruled out. I think he's more likely to play today. But when VanVLEET comes back from injuries, they usually just let him rip. So 36 minutes, 1.2 fantasy points per minute because we don't have Kyle Lowry on the floor no matter what. 27% usage. Huge usage bump, huge assist bump when Lowry is off the floor. 21.5 points, 8 assists, 4 boards, 2.5 stocks. Pace neutral spot against the Lakers, but it's a little bit of a different matchup when there's no LeBron James and no Anthony Davis. And we probably get Andre Drummond Not a huge problem there if Drummond is in or out. Maybe it's just more Montrezl Harrell. Again, that's probably a benefit to someone like Fred VanVleet. This guy is too cheap for Kyle Lowry being out. It's just that simple. If we knew that Kyle Lowry was going to be out for the next month and Fred VanVleet was just going to be healthy, he'd be $8,500 or more and we wouldn't even bat an eye at it. Grab the value while you can. If Fred VanVleet plays, you're going to need him. He's the number 2 contender. Now, before we get to that number 1 contender, one last reminder to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. You don't want to miss any of the content. We have a ton of it. By the way, you should head to Twitter, follow me at Josh Engleman, on the road to 18,000 followers, and you guys can help me out by hitting that follow button. You get my updated sim results. I shouldn't smack my hands. You probably heard that. Doesn't matter. I just shouldn't smack my hands. I'm always using my hands. I never know what to do with them. I feel like Ricky Bobby. It's craziness. Anyway, follow me on Twitter, then head into this comment section. I want to know who your favorite contender is. Then I want to know who your least favorite contender is. And then I want you to tell me, who did I miss? Who is your favorite contender that you don't see on this list right now? Because I want to know what I'm missing for tonight. And finally, the number 1 contender, and it is not even close. That would be center Miles Turner, 6,200, projected for 37.5. The goal is 44-ish. He's in the optimal lineup 33% of the time. Now, as I've mentioned multiple times, I'm not expecting Domantas Sabonis to play, so this changes if he does. Miles Turner has massive rate bumps when Domantas Sabonis is off the floor. He's close to 23% usage, which is nuts. He's been at 1.39 fantasy points per minute with Sabonis off the floor this year. I'm not expecting those things to continue, but he's certainly getting a bump. So, 34 minutes, 1.11 fantasy points per minute, 20% usage. That is significantly lower than where he has been, and he's still showing up unequivocally as the number 1 contender today. 17 points, 7.5 boards, and the big one, over 4 stocks, including 3.5 blocks. Now, this is a matchup against Chicago. Their defense is putrid, or at least it's going to be working on putrid. Pace neutral spot, but still fast in general. This is the best spot for me. I love getting to Miles Turner if Sabonis is out. I hope that his ownership is oddly low. I don't expect that to be the case. I expect him to be the cash game center on both sites. But for right now, Miles Turner is undoubtedly my number 1 contender for today's slate. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. Those are my NBA DFS contenders on DraftKings for Tuesday, April 6th. Now, I'm on the strategy show with Lofty at 10 a.m. Come check that out. Process show is in the books. Go back and watch that. And there's a FanDuel version of this video somewhere floating out here. You should be able to click on it, or at least I think you should. No live before lock for me today, so keep your eyes peeled for my updates on Twitter. That's why you got to follow me. The biggest thing that I've got going on today, go Liverpool at 3 o'clock. After the game is over, I'm going to be in a good mood because we're going to win. I'll be tweeting out sim results, and then we're going to make our run all the way up till lock. Good luck tonight, everybody. I'll talk to you again tomorrow morning.